So if you played Rocket League recently and you've made your way over to free play, you might have noticed this little handy dandy feature already within the game itself. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you free play ball control. This feature right here might just be the most important thing they've added to Rocket League in the past year as a whole. You're probably like, what? Are you serious? You just get to fling the ball in free play around now. What's the big deal? Well, not only is it incredibly useful for training, but it's originally from a mod for Rocket League called Bakkesmod, which is an incredible sign. Bakkesmod is a mod for Rocket League only available on PC, of course, and this free play ball control thing is just one tiny feature within it. So seeing that this feature was made by one of the most active mod developers for Bakkesmod, and Psyonix has actually hired that mod developer full time, it's a major sign that we can expect to see more things from Bakkesmod and things outside of it implemented in the game very soon. So based on this very plausible idea and Rocket League's recent AMA that they did on their subreddit where they answered a bunch of the community's questions, I'm going to be covering 11 new features that could be coming to Rocket League. But before we get into it, please allow me to thank today's sponsor, Opera GX. In case you still somehow haven't heard of it, Opera GX is the world's first gaming browser. You might be like, what even is a gaming browser? I don't play games on my browser. Well, you'll see why it's called that in just a moment here. If you're a gamer like me, Opera has so many handy features for you that you might not even realize that you wanted. One of my favorites is the hardware and network limiters. Browsers are notoriously known for using your hardware way more than they should, but if I have my limiters on in Opera, then it uses so much less so I can have videos and shows playing in the background without actually dropping frames in my games. There's even a network limiter so you can adjust and put a cap on the amount of bandwidth that it's using. Another feature I like is the integrations within the browser itself. You've got your Discord and Spotify right here on the sidebar, but they also support like Facebook Messenger, Instagram, Twitch, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube Music, and so many others. So you can browse, listen to music, or respond to messages all in the same place. They've also got a forced dark mode toggle, so if you're ever playing in the pitch dark like so many other pro Rocket League players, you're not actually going to be blasting your eyes out by having your browser open on your other monitor. They even have a mobile version of GX as well if you're interested. So go ahead and click that link in the description to install it for free. Thanks to Opera GX for sponsoring the video. Now let's get back into it. So a lot of these features and plugins that I'm going to be talking about today were put in the mod over the course of like years, so we can't really expect them to be all put in the game at once. It would still take a really long time to get all this work done. Unless, of course, Unreal Engine 5 arrives, but more on that later. The first feature that I think has a really good chance of being added to the game is free play ball control modes. Not a lot of people actually know this, even PC players that use Bakkesmod, but right here in the quick settings tab, you can actually change the ball control mode. And you can change it to a few different things. So if I change it to this air dribble mode, now when I press buttons on the D-pad, it does different actions. Something else I'd really like to see added for training is a team free play option. Right now, the closest thing we have to team free play is just going into a private match with like unlimited boost, time, and disable goal reset. I've used this a few times to do some drills with teams that I've coached, and it really isn't that efficient. Like after you score it, you have to drive back, get the ball, and set everyone up in the same spot again. It takes like a full 10 seconds to set up each individual rep, but having free play ball control on top of that would just be an amazing combination. In Psyonix's recent AMA on Reddit, they actually gave thoughts on this suggestion. They basically just said it's more complicated than you would think since free play was just originally supposed to be an offline mode for people to stay warm, and this new free play ball control feature would make things a lot more complicated. But it's definitely not impossible, so they are interested in exploring it in the future. Speaking of private matches though, there's actually quite a few things that I can imagine being implemented soon. First off, a coach's spectator view. Specifically for coaches in the RLCS, which at this point is almost a necessity for a team, like every pro team has one now pretty much. The only way they can watch their players play live in the RLCS is by having them screen share on Discord, which causes frame drops for some players, or they just have to straight up watch the public Twitch stream, which is obviously going to be a few seconds delayed. The coaches aren't allowed in the private match because, of course, there's a limited number of spectator spots, and those are reserved for the broadcasters. And also, if they're in the match, there's nothing really stopping them from spectating the other team and then calling out their boost amounts. A coach's spectator mode would make it so they can only spectate their own players' perspectives, though. And this isn't even a brand new idea by any means. There have been plenty of people on Twitter that have been asking for this. I find it especially weird because during the recent broadcast of RLCS, it was shown that there were 7 people spectating in the match at once. So there was a total of 13 people in the private match, when normally for us, there's only allowed to be 10. If that's possible, then surely it's got to be possible for coaches to spectate their game. But that also might mean that's something they're working towards in the future, because I don't think in past RLCS broadcasts they had that many spectators. So hopefully we'll see that soon. Also related to spectating in private matches, it would be really nice if there were more camera modes. I know when I'm spectating a scrim, I like to look at the field from like the top view, so that way I can see the spacing of all of our players. But whenever a goal is scored and the instant replay pops up, it always just moves my camera back down to where the instant replay ended. So then I have to like fly back up to the top each time, which is obviously very annoying. If there was like a top-down view right next to the director and autocam buttons, then that would be really nice. Cinderblock himself, who again works full-time for Psyonix now, he actually made a plugin for Bakkesmod for this a while ago, so that's definitely something I can imagine being in the real game. Something that's actually pretty much confirmed coming to the game soon is the ability to spectate online matches. Check this out. Again, in the recent AMA on Reddit, someone asked, would you ever consider spectator mode for the game? For example, press spectator mode, select a rank, and queue up. Say you select Grand Champ and queue up, you load into their game as a spectator and have free reign to watch. If anyone in the lobby has disabled spectator mode, then you can't spectate their game. And Psyonix Jake responded, we 1000% want to do this. It's simply been a significant tech lift in the past. We're getting close to having something here, but unfortunately we can't say much more just yet on when and exactly what form this will take in its first iteration. That to me is going to be so cool. I haven't really thought about a feature like that in Rocket League before, but now that I do think of it, it actually makes sense. In CSGO, I'm pretty sure there is a way to right click on someone's name and like spectate their match as it's happening. Obviously the playback is going to be delayed a bit to prevent cheating, but still it's such a cool feature to have, and it wouldn't have to be delayed by much if at all for Rocket League. So seeing that that's something that they're confirmed getting close to finishing is really exciting. Also, while we're on the topic of this AMA, this isn't really a feature, but rather an update on something. A few videos ago, I talked about this mechanic called the wall dash and how people were starting to use it more in RLCS, but there's also a way for keyboard and mouse players to use it in a way that's super OP by binding jump to their scroll wheel. Someone asked for their thoughts about it, and Devin ended up saying that learning it with a controller through muscle memory is good, but using a scroll wheel to do it easier is not good. He further elaborated on Twitter that he actually considers it an exploit. I think Halfway Dead here makes a good point. But yeah, the whole scroll wheel thing is probably getting removed at some point soon, so just thought I'd update you on that. All right, let's talk about online matches a bit, since that's obviously like the main part of the game. So firstly, another thing that I talked about in a previous video is estimated queue time. It's obviously kind of weird that they would put this whole good, great, amazing thing in the corner of the screen when they could just put an estimated queue time. So they didn't give us much information on that, but they did say that they are interested in doing it. There's just a chunk of work that would need to be done before they can actually put it in the game. So probably sometime in the distant future for that. Again, about online matches, something I found interesting is that Psyonix doesn't seemingly care about showing you your MMR in game, but yet they still don't actively show you your MMR until you hit Grand Champion. Like if you go in game right now and you look at your ranks without Bakkesmod, for each rank that is below Grand Champion, it will just show you your rank and the division. But for the ranks that are Grand Champion and above, it'll also show you your MMR next to the division. If they really don't care about showing people their MMR, then why don't they just show it to everyone along with how much MMR you need to rank up or D-rank? Also, how much MMR you're gaining or losing after a match. That's another basic feature that's already in Bakkesmod, so we might see that in the future. Right now, it just seems like they're taking this middle stance where they're not exactly sure if they actually want to show you your MMR or not. But even if they decide that they don't want everyone to see their MMR, I still think it would be really cool to see like a session summary. There's some pretty popular Bakkesmod plugins for this already. It just shows you how many games you've won and lost so far and what streak you're on, whether you're like 3 wins in a row or 3 losses in a row. And of course, how much MMR you've gained or lost during the session. But again, they don't even have to include that last part. That session summary feature, I can definitely see them adding at some point. Another long overdue feature is better organization tools for your garage. Also in the AMA, they said, we are definitely looking at ways to help players navigate their inventory for the items they want more easily. We hear you on how cumbersome it can be to find the exact item you're looking for. It's on our radar, and we have plans to add features to help with this in the future. So I guess they haven't really started that yet, but they've confirmed that they are going to, which is good. A lot of you might not know this, but in the Chinese version of Rocket League, the organization tools are actually way better. If you go to your garage, you can instantly see like a bunch of your presets already there in front of you, and then you just like select the one that you want to use. It would definitely be cool to see them move that to our version as well. Another thing is they are planning to do more with clubs in Rocket League. Right now, clubs in Rocket League are just pretty much like an empty feature, so you can't really do much with them. You get these like letters next to your name, and sometimes there's a club match that happens if you go against another club. But at the end of the day, that doesn't really do anything. But they did mention that clubs and other social features are high on their list. And it seems like they do have some smaller things coming to them soon, but they can't really make any big changes to them until Unreal Engine 5. Speaking of which, to my surprise, they actually did talk about Unreal Engine 5 in this AMA. They're definitely becoming more and more transparent with the fact that they are working on Unreal Engine 5, which is amazing. I'll just read the post here so there's no confusion. We've been exploring a transition to a newer version of Unreal for quite some time, but the team was quite small until this year. We're not ready to share timelines yet about the overall project, but we have goals to start testing next year. Obviously, we'll need a lot of feedback from players and pros to ensure a complete rebuild of Rocket League feels right. Our general intent is that Unreal Engine 5 will replace the current Rocket League. I can't say for certain today if it'll be a new application or a major patch. There are too many dependencies and details around how each platform works, content ownership, etc. Your inventory in Rocket League will carry forward and be supported and respected in the Unreal Engine 5 edition. So again, pretty vague, but we at least have somewhat of a general idea of the current stage. Of course, I'll continue to update you guys about that here or on Twitter if more stuff comes out about it. about it. I would talk a bit about custom training since that's definitely what I'm most passionate about them updating and changing. But I decided not to because there's literally zero new info in this entire AMA about custom training anywhere. So it would just basically be me like ranting the whole time about how great custom training could be. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I'm sorry this video is just kind of all over the place. There was just a bunch of random information that got spewed out like all at the same time because of the free play ball control update and this huge AMA that they did on Reddit. So I guess this is kind of my attempt to gather everything into one video. Let me know if there's anything that you think they might add or that they should add to the game soon. But yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys next Monday.